Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andy, the Painting Fireman. Thanks very much for joining me today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting those like buttons. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to do a nice Northern Lights scene. I've done Northern Lights before. I'll show you what I've done on the canvas. I've put a little bit of phthalo blue in areas on the canvas here, mixed in a bit of Prussian blue, mixed in a bit of alizarin crimson. Same with the bottom. I think we're gonna have I'm gonna try a mountain Northern Lights this time. I have water on the bottom here, and there's gonna be some big old trees on the side. This is a 10 by 20 canvas. It's been covered with an acrylic black paint before we start. Let that completely dry before you put any other colors on there. So it was my birthday yesterday. I went and bought a whole bunch of new paints and a couple new canvases. I'm going to try different sizes of canvases. It's going to be pretty interesting. I bought a pretty large canvas, so we'll see what happens with that one. But stay tuned for more painting videos on those big canvases that I bought. All right, let's go up on the canvas and see what we can come up with today. All right, we're just going to start with a little bit of titanium white, just a little bit on my brand new brush. First time using it. That was my birthday present to myself. I bought some paint and I bought some brushes. Let's go up on the canvas just with a little bit of titanium white. I'm going to pick out a few places where I want my Northern Lights. So I think the mountain's going to be right in here, so I'm not super worried about right around there, but I do want a little bit of a glow behind the mountain. So I'm going to put a little bit of titanium white right in here, just maybe a little glow somewhere. And we're going to blend this out, and I'll show you how to do Northern Lights. It's a really easy way. All we're doing is tapping with that fan brush, just making an indication of where you think some of those Northern Lights might be. Right here, like I said, there's going to be mountains here, so most of this will be covered up, but it will, you know, if you don't make your mountains too big, it'll show in the background. So any little things you do now, it'll help in the end. And right here we'll have a little bit of a glow. Just tapping with my fan brush. Picking up a little bit of paint as we go. And I think we're going to have a big light coming this way. Maybe he curls around a bit. And you can make them fat in the middle if you want, whichever way you want to do it. And I'm just putting down a little bit of color for right now. Not a ton of paint, just a little bit. And I think maybe another one might branch off here. And I'm kind of going where my phthalo green is right now. So I'm just trying to follow that phthalo green. I purposely put phthalo green in certain areas. And then blue for the sky. It's a dark blue. You don't want a completely black sky. I just found it just doesn't look right. So you want kind of a bluish tinge to it. It just looks better that way. That's the way I kind of feel. So, all right, put another one here. Maybe that one will get all fat. And I'm just tapping some paint down. And I don't want too many because these lines are going to go up. So you're going to take your nice clean, very clean and dry 1-inch brush. And with Northern Lights, you kind of got to figure out which direction they're going to be going. They kind of have little lines. If you haven't seen Northern Lights before, they have the little kind of lines coming up and little blurry spots and stuff like that. So most of them are in a single direction. I think we're going to go this way with our Northern Lights. So we're just going to pick one, and you're just going to lightly drag some of that paint upwards. Do one at a time, and I'm very lightly touching the canvas. Just trying to blur some of these out. Some can be longer, some can be not so long. Just pick out a few, start with one, but the main thing is try and go in a single direction through the whole Northern Lights. whether it's the top ones or the bottom ones. We're just trying to go in one direction. And the shorter you go, it'll be longer one, shorter. That's always good to put that variation in. And we're gonna brighten some segments up, and we'll show you how to do that. So just keep going with that one direction. Same with this top one. You can see how that changed color because I didn't have any phthalo green there. And it kind of transitioned into a green, which is really cool. And I got some purple in there. So just pick out a few. And what we're gonna do is you're gonna take some of it and fade it out. Fade out the bottom of your Northern Lights. Let a little bit of color mix in, and it'll pick up some of that blue that you put in there, some of that purple, and it'll fuzz the bottom out, and that gives it a really nice effect. And you're just gonna fuzz the bottoms out. You can see how it's kind of making a galaxy almost looking sky. And you just kind of want to fade the bottom out, nice and gentle with it. Almost like when we do our mountains and we put that fog in there. It's basically the same idea. Just going with my 1-inch brush, kind of just mixing up the bottom. I'm just trying to touch the bottom of the line there, and we can bring some out as we go along. And not make it such a sharp angle. So what you can do is you can go in here, drop some down, but make sure we're going in that same general direction. That same general direction. That's most important with these Northern Lights. Just in a few places I'll bring some down, leave that foggy bit in there. Blend this one out a little bit. And you can even take just a little, I'm talking a little bit, you can just see that little bit of white, just a little dab of white, and you can put some on the bottom. That's even too much. So just maybe put a little spot of it in there, and you can rub that in on the horizon. That'll turn a nice purple color. And I like just barely even touching it. I don't want too much paint on there at all, because I don't want it white. I don't want it bright. Northern Lights come out in the darkness. So basically this is a nighttime picture. And just scrubbing it in. And we're gonna blend all of this out anyways. When we put just a very minute amount. We're gonna throw some stars in here too. Northern Lights are, like I said, at nighttime, and the stars come in. So we'll show you how to throw some stars in. And it doesn't take that long. Like I said, I put all this color on before, and it's just the white. It's just the white that's mixing with the color on the canvas already. All right, we're just gonna keep going. Just mixing a little bit of white into the black parts where our Northern Lights are not. All right, I think it's time to highlight. We're gonna take a few of those Northern Lights, and the key is only putting it in certain spots, like certain areas of your Northern Lights. So I think right here, right in this area, we're gonna brighten this up. Just that part, maybe a little bit down here. That might actually be covered up by the mountain. We're gonna take this one here, just adding a little white to it, just on the bottom, because we're gonna be filtering that up again. Maybe just a hint there. Just a little bit of a brighter white. Take your 1-inch brush again. You can kind of clean off the excess. We're gonna go up again, and that'll leave a few brighter spots in our sky. You could turn your brush sideways if you want. Maybe focus in on a few that are longer. This one here, I put a little bit, this one a bit longer, go outwards with it. And you can drag those northern lights really far up into the sky if you want to. And then you can go back. You don't want very, very little paint on your brush. I might actually clean the brush. So I want a nice clean dry brush. Just gonna clean that brush off. You want it nice and clean, nice and dry. Gonna go back in here, just blend out a little bit, just keeping that kind of fogginess in the sky, cleaning up the bottoms of these a little bit, drag them up, and you could just keep going with it, blending it out to whichever degree you want. I like this blue one. That blue one turned out really nice right up there. You can also, if you really wanted, you can take your fan brush or something and pull some of this dark into your northern light on the bottom, and that'll muffle up the bottom of it, and that's kind of what you want as well. But just make sure you go back and kind of blend it out. All right, I just finished kind of blending out a little bit. I didn't add too much to my sky. I kind of like the way it is. The one thing we're going to do before we put the mountain in, we're going to put some stars in the sky. And a really neat way to do it, I just dipped my 1-inch brush into liquid white. It's just very thin white paint. You're going to take your knife, and all you're going to do is stand a little bit of ways away from your canvas. And you're going to take your 1-inch brush that has liquid white and your knife, and you're just going to flick your knife, or flick your 1-inch brush up against your knife. And that will create 1 million stars in the sky. And it's just very lightly putting those stars in the sky. You can add as many as you want. Don't worry about the bottom. We're going to cover up the bottom. That's fine. In fact, that might help us on the bottom anyways. And just flick and gently flick that 1-inch brush against your knife, and that will create 1 million stars in the sky. All right. Now that we got our stars in the sky, we're going to take our nice knife, and I think we're going to put some mountains in the back. I don't want it to be super huge mountains, just enough to indicate that there's mountains back there. We might put a little bit of detail on there. I went and picked up Bob Ross mountain color, and really it's just kind of crimson and blue, things like that. Crimson blue, maybe a little Prussian blue. There's maybe a little bit of green in there. I'm not sure exactly what color. You can make that color if you want, but it's really handy to have that mountain mixture ready to go. So take your mountain mixture, thin roll of paint on the end of your knife, and we're gonna find out where our mountain lives. I think, and I want the mountain, it's gonna be a range of mountains, so I'm gonna go all the way across with mountains today. And we'll start right here. Maybe here a little bit. And as you go along, just add some more paint. And we're just gonna slot in some bumps and humps and go over top of those northern lights. It's okay, that's why we put them there in the background. Just fill in where you think there's a little mountain range. And go all the way across. Maybe there's kind of a valley in this one here. It's up. Maybe it just pokes to the very top of that. Northern Light. And off she goes. There looks like a pretty nice little Ranger Mountains. Scrape off all the excess paint. Really don't need that much paint on there. And you can go back and adjust if you want some more humps somewhere, or you think that the peaks aren't right. Just go back in there, fill it out. But most important, scrape off a lot of that paint. We really don't need it on there, but leave your top edge nice and what's the word I'm looking for? Nice and defined, I guess would be the right word. All right, and we can take our 1-inch brush. Nice dry 1-inch brush, and we're just gonna blend. Didn't quite dry my brush out enough. All right, just take it and blend that out a little bit. And we're gonna put highlights on our, we're gonna put some highlights on our mountains. That's a big mountain range in the back. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's there. All right, folks, I kind of didn't like where I was going with this mountain. And that's the beauty about this oil paint. You can, it doesn't dry right away on your canvas. So you could just, if you don't like something, you can scrape it off, blend it out, and you can start over again. So we're going to start over on our highlights. I make mistakes just like everybody else does. None of my paintings are perfect. As soon as I paint the perfect painting, I'm going to quit painting because it'll never happen. So let's take our little roll of paint. We're gonna find a little edge here and just slowly drag our paint down. Take another piece of our paint, maybe go up here. And you can wiggle it if you want, drop it down. Here there's a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe he comes in front here. I think maybe these guys might be in the background somewhere. We just add a little bit, not too much, just to indicate that they're in the back. For shadow color, I think we'll use a lighter gray color. Just mix up maybe even put some mountain color, a little bit of Prussian blue to it, kind of a gray blue color. I think maybe that'll work nice, just as a shadow. Take your roll of paint, and we'll add a shadow on this side here. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Right here, push up, drag that over. We'll put this guy right in front. And all I'm doing is the same way I do my my highlights. It's just to follow the direction of the mountain. And you can go back, you can add a few little bumps and nicks. And you can just keep going with this all day long if you want. Just a nice, see this ridge kind of looks funny to me, so we can bring some over this way. Kind of move them out a little bit. Maybe this guy here needs a little more. And we'll put a little more shadow down that way. And making these mountains, it takes a lot of practice. I've failed a million times at these. I'm still not 100% good at it, but just keep practicing your mountains. You can paint a whole picture, if you want, of mountains, and nobody's going to say anything. You can just practice, keep practicing with it. All right, we put our mountain in. Now we're just going to soften the bottom of this mountain. And you just want to take your, you can take your 1-inch brush, your 2-inch brush, whichever, and you're gently tapping the bottom of the mountain, and then gently going up with it. I want to create some mist in the bottom, and just some areas that, you know, are just a little bit mistier than others. But follow the angles of your mountain. Follow those angles. Just diffusing the bottom. We're not killing everything, we're just diffusing a little bit. We're gonna put a whole row of trees right in front there. But it just, and you can go even farther up. I'm gonna put some trees on this side too. So some of this mountain will be hidden. There we go. I just want that indication of trees in the background. We probably won't see these ones, but I'm gonna put them there anyways, just in case. And all I'm doing is going straight down with my fan brush, varying the size. Some are smaller, some are larger, and I'm just going across. I want that faint indication that there's some evergreen trees maybe in the back there. Go all the way across, and don't worry about the bottom. We're gonna put some snow there, some water maybe. All the way across. We're gonna put some big old trees that'll hide a lot of stuff, but just in case we need something there, it's gonna be there. We really can't go back after we put a big old tree in the front and put something in the back. It makes it pretty tough to do. We're just gonna scrub in where I think the water's gonna be, and we'll nicely blend that out. But I just want that indication, because, and it doesn't matter whether you go wider, really doesn't matter, because we're going to cover this with trees and snow. But I just want to be able to remember where that water is. And you can see I put the same kind of colors in the water as I did in the sky. Maybe it's kind of reflecting it a bit, I don't know. Just go across. You can leave those ridges in. Just going across. And as we go back into that forest, it just gets smaller and smaller. But we can correct all that with our snow that's going to come in there. Just going across. Just all I'm doing is just making sure I got that water. It's hard to put the water in when you put the snow in already. Just going across, straight across, just indicating that there's water there. And all the way to the bottom, as you can see. All right, I just mixed up a bunch of color here. It's just black and Prussian blue. I want really dark trees. We're gonna put a whole ton of spruce trees in. So make up a big blob of paint and load your fan brush up. And we're gonna start with a couple smaller ones. Just make sure that you got plenty of paint on your brush. And I kind of want snow coming in from the tree line, So we're gonna have snow coming in. We'll just start with a couple small ones right there, and just take the corner of your brush, maybe one there, maybe a little taller one going there. And we're going to fill up a lot of this area with trees. And I kind of want it so that it makes it look like the trees are coming this way. So those kind of our background trees here. As we go forward, I'm just going deeper and deeper, lower and lower into the canvas. Leave some space there. We're gonna go right into our sky with our tree. Press down. And load up your brush every single time. You really need a lot of paint for this. If you find that your paint isn't sticking, you can always add a little bit of paint thinner. Going to go right into this northern light here. Right over top of our mountain. Downwards. Maybe right beside them there's one. There. We're going to highlight all of these eventually. Maybe this last one he's the tallest one. He's going to be right up here. Right over top of that northern light that we just made. But hey, we know it's back there. And he goes right off the canvas. Same with the other side here. Maybe right there. Just a smaller one. Just a little guy, kind of hanging out by the edge of the river we made. And like I said, we're going to put snow in there, so we're going to close that water off quite a bit. And just keep going with our trees. Here. Just downwards. I think I might put a little big hump there. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the foreground. We'll figure something out. Maybe a big one right here. Why not? Why not? Right there. There he comes. Nice big old tree. And downwards. And one more for good measure. Right in the corner, he'll just kind of hang out here. Right off our canvas. So we'll go with this nice blue color. We'll see what happens. We can lighten it up, darken it up, whichever we want. And let's begin picking out just a bit of snow on these. I think I want it a bit darker. Don't want it as bright as I had it there. Still want it to the blue side. Let's pick up some blue. There we go. There we go, that's better. And just begin putting just a few highlights on these trees. Down. Excuse me. Now this is and darker as we go to the bottom. Make sure that we're going dark, dark, dark to the bottom side of this. Just picking out a few areas. We might even put some white on there. Just on a few. Just on a few of these trees, just to indicate that there's snow on them. I know it kind of looks like there's snow on them already. And I'm just kind of going back and forth. Just if I see something that needs a highlight. Just bringing them out. Now it is a nighttime scene, so You don't want these too bright at all. Clean off that brush. We'll go into a lighter, maybe a white color. Just bring out some white. And I just want to touch a few of these branches. Just give it that little bit of a highlight that there's snow. Maybe more snow. Maybe it's catching a bit of that highlight, or maybe it's catching a bit of that light from the northern lights. Just on these ones on the edge. Nothing major. All right, just putting some white on my fan brush, and we're just going to indicate some snow. So all I'm doing is going to drag some snow into this river that we got here, and let the fan brush do what it needs to do. We can always put highlights on later. I don't want it to be super bright snow. Remember, we're still kind of in the darkness here, right? So I'm just dragging. You can do this with a knife, 1-inch brush. I just had the fan brush ready to go. Go into your water. Keep dragging. Just keeping dragging in some spots here and there. And don't be scared to grab some of that tree color. It'll bring that dark shadowness of the snow out. So you go into your water a bit. And all I'm doing is fanning that out. Fanning that snow out. Reloading once in a while. Just take some of that indication of snow that's kind of piled up against the river there. And all I'm doing is dragging, and it's okay to take some of that green color, and that's some, maybe the northern lights are shining off the snow as well, right? It's all good. I think maybe that kind of just goes off that way somewhere. We're going to do the same with the other side. The other side, I'm not going to do it too much. Maybe these trees are a bit closer to the water. Same thing. Take that fan brush. Drag some of that in there. And it's just white on my fan brush. Just dragging some of it out. And variate your colors, meaning you can put a little more white in certain areas, a little more darker color. We can even take our our knife and create big ridges of snow if we wanted to. All right, I kind of changed my mind on the way this is looking. I wasn't having very much success with putting that snow in. I just didn't like it. So I kind of went over top, and I'm just dragging downwards. Just trying to create some shadow or some reflections of the snow here. Just in certain spots, just dragging downwards. We still got that snow in there. We're going to go back Clean off my brush a little bit. Just dragging downwards. I'm just kind of blurring that water a little bit. Just pulling straight down and then going across. So, like I said before, I make mistakes. It doesn't always turn out the way I had envisioned it. So, just change your mind on the fly. It's just the way it goes. If you don't like what you see, change your mind. And ultimately, if you really don't like what you see, you can go right on top of this canvas, wipe it all off, and start over. But I think we can still salvage this one. I think we can still salvage this one. So we're just going to take some white on the knife. Going to use our knife this time. And if we pick up a bit of that blue, make a blue-gray kind of color, take some on your knife, and I think, kind of figure out how we're going to do this. I think we are going to put some snow in this way. And I've just taken the knife, going across, just going across. A little bit of blue in there, not too much. Just going across with our knife. I want to kind of make it look like a rocky edge, but it's still covered with snow. So I just took my knife. Last minute decision. That's really all it was. I just didn't like the way it was turning out. So I just took my knife. And in here. And we'll go right up front. Why not? There we go. We can do the same on that other side. Just take some white. And if it mixes in with that shadow color, whatever. Not too concerned about it, really. Just that rocky area there. And we'll take our dark color. I think maybe on this side here, just gonna push upwards. And maybe darken it up a bit, just filling in some space. All the way across here. Can't see where that water goes. Tap some of that liquid white, maybe some crimson, just making kind of a purple color. Liquid white. We're just going to put some bushes in the front here. Why not? This one kind of went off the rails. That's okay. More liquid white, crimson color. Maybe some of these glisten a bit more. I think maybe there's like a ridge or something there. I don't know. And all I'm doing is pushing with my brush. Just straight up. And perhaps on the bottom, maybe there's like a path or something. I don't know. Maybe we're kind of standing on a bit of a ridge there. And we can just add some snow in this way. Maybe there's like a path that goes right beside the little river we got going here. And you can go back, tidy things up if you see something that you don't like. Just go in, draw some of this out here. I think our river kind of turned into a little bit of a lake. That's okay. Just gonna take some of that dark paint. Maybe go on this side here. Quickly put an initial. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a train wreck of a painting. It's not exactly what I envisioned at the start of this, but I think it turned out okay. Once again, thanks for joining me. My name's Andy the Painting Fireman. Make sure you keep your shiny side up.